What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret.
Welcome to the Unapologetic Man Podcast, the only podcast that's all about self-improvement, confidence, success, women, and being a man without making any apologies for it.
What is up, you champions? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the UMP. I really do appreciate you. And today we have a lot of content to get through, so I'm going to skip all the blatant advertising in my 3-month coaching program and just jump right into it. So first and foremost, if you get butthurt easily, if you easily hyperextend your anal chakra because of things that other people say, which also makes me question your masculinity, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, then you should definitely click out of this episode because I am going to put a mirror in front of your face. We are going to do a deep examination of both you as well as me to maximize our masculinity in the most honest, integral way possible. So if you haven't clicked away yet, congratulations, you are not a pussy because all the pussies have left already. So brother, I want to urge you to look at yourself in the mirror and be completely down to the penny honest, which I'm also going to talk about in this episode. Because the way to maximize yourself is to get very fucking real with who you are, your limitations, your ego, your fears, and those things that you might not want to admit. Because I'm going to do the same thing with you today. This is how we grow. And I want to preface this by saying this. You are supposed to be lost before you could be found. That is the whole point of life on earth, in my opinion. So if I say certain things that you haven't achieved yet, or if I point certain things out in your personality and your behavior, instead of getting butthurt about it and trying to hide from it, just say, yeah, man, I have some work to do. And get excited because you know you can get to that next best version of yourself by working on that thing. So instead of getting butthurt, get excited because again, it's a rung up the ladder of your development. And when you find that rung, I don't know about you, but I get excited about it. So every time I get coaching or I'm working on myself or whatever it is, and I find something that's a limitation in me, and believe me, there are many, many things that I need to work on, I actually get excited and I want to encourage you to do the same thing because developing yourself as a man, increasing your masculinity, getting your testosterone up is absolutely awesome. It's fun to do. It makes you feel good. So this should be framed as a positive message to you rather than a negative one. Let all the pussies click away, which they already have. Let them go put their hatred somewhere else. This is for the fucking men in the room, which includes you. So we're going to go over 5 to 6 things that I feel can increase your masculinity, decrease your femininity, which a lot of us are suffering from feminine type behaviors, which I'm going to go over today. And I'm going to make reference to the Tao Te Ching, which was that poem in the beginning of the episode, Gladiator, which in my opinion is the greatest movie ever made, and Gates of Fire, which in my opinion is the greatest fiction book ever written. So to begin this, I want to talk about number 1, which is gossiping. Gossiping. Why is it that gossiping is usually female activity? Because it's feminine and it's toxic femininity. Since so many people have said toxic masculinity, what's toxic femininity? Gossiping. If you're gossiping as a man, brother, I have to question you. I have to question your masculinity. I have to question your integrity. I have to question your warrior spirit. Do you think Maximus in the movie Gladiator would be caught in a sewing circle with other women gossiping and saying, oh my God, did you hear what happened to Deborah? Well, she ratted out the slave of Copernicus and got him whipped for 3 days straight. Can you believe she did that? And Maximus is fucking sewing himself a basket that he can put his balls into. I don't think so, gentlemen. We are putting Maximus as our example. He wouldn't be caught gossiping. I feel that gossiping is one of the lowest forms of humanity that has ever been created. If you hear a dude gossiping, even talking shit about other people, there's 2 things you can know about him. First of all, he's in his feminine energy. Secondly, he's talking shit about you. And if you talk shit about other people, I know you're talking shit about me. And if you hear anybody talking shit about anybody else, you know that they're talking shit about you too. Get rid of that like yesterday's garbage. As of today, gentlemen, gossiping is done. And if you're in an environment where people are doing it, politely excuse yourself and or be the bigger man and say, hey, let's stop talking shit about this guy. He's not here. Or even the bigger man and defend the dude who isn't there. Anytime anybody's talking crap about another person, you be Maximus. What would Maximus do? Defend them. and be like, hey, Copernicus isn't here right now, so I'm going to go ahead and get his back because that's what a man does. He defends those that can't defend themselves. And that's number 2. As an unapologetic alpha silverback, a guy who's trying to increase his masculinity as much as possible, and the reason we're doing that is because it makes you feel better and it makes women highly attracted to you, you have to defend those that can't defend themselves. The way I look at myself is a sheepdog. A sheepdog protects the sheep from the wolves. Wolves are bad people, just as I was talking about at the beginning of this episode, and I'm going to get into that in a second. Wolves are people who are selfish in their ego, who are takers, and who are going to take from others. It's your job to defend those people who cannot defend themselves. What did Maximus do in Gladiator? He sacrificed himself in order to save Rome. Like, what bigger mission is there than that? What more gangster-ass move could you possibly do than what he did in that movie? And we are going to take several of his qualities in today's episode and list them out. What he did is protect those who couldn't protect themselves, including his son, including his wife, including Rome itself. And that is how you increase your masculinity. You become the sheepdog, protecting the sheep from the wolves. So once again, if you hear people talking shit, even your friend, about somebody who isn't there, put a stop to it. Because the highly masculine man protects those that aren't present and protects those who can't protect themselves. This is why I think that show TMZ is the absolute lowest vibrating show that has ever been created by man. How would you feel if you were one of those dudes on TMZ who's like, oh, Kylie Jenner or whatever the fuck her name is, showed up to this thing and she said this thing. Her vagina accidentally flapped in the breeze when she was getting in the car. Here, our paparazzi's got a picture of it. Oh, can you believe it? She's such an idiot. How she got successful, we don't know. This is literally their job. I don't know about you, brother, but even if I was being paid as much as those guys are, I would quit that job immediately. I would rather be anything than a guy who slangs gossip and gets paid for it. That is low vibrating, and I guarantee you, those dudes are probably having conflicts within themselves with their masculinity and their femininity. A man who is highly in his feminine energy is going to do the things that I'm talking about today. He is going to gossip about other people. He's not going to defend those that can't defend themselves. And most of all, gentlemen, he's going to flake on his fucking commitments, which is one of my biggest pet peeves. As a dating coach, it's inevitable that I get guys who come to me that are good with women, average with women, and horrible with women. Here's the difference most times between these 3 levels of guys. The guy who's good with women usually has good integrity. He's usually highly masculine, as we're talking about today. He's not always perfect, but he's got a decent dose of that. And for the most part, he doesn't flake on his commitments. He does what he says he's going to do. Guys who are bad with women, on the other hand, flake on their commitments, don't do what they say they're going to do, are absolute cornflakes that, frankly, I don't want to deal with. Guys who are average with women are usually somewhere in the middle. They kind of do what they say they're going to do. Sometimes they don't. They're a little bit fickle, and that's why they could get better with women if they just increase their masculinity, first by increasing their integrity. Let's look at the word integrity. It's from the root integral, which means steadfast, solid, which is the entire essence of masculinity, isn't it? So I get guys who come into my inbox who unfortunately aren't good with women. And most of the time, what comes with that is feminine energy. They don't do what they say they're going to do. They procrastinate. They flake. They are always in this state of, I don't know, let me kick it down the road. And that's why I give you guys so much shit when you haven't applied to my program, or if you have applied to my program and then just flaked or like ghosted me out of nowhere. That points to your feminine energy. And that's probably why you're not good with women. So look, if you made a mistake in the past, even if it was with me, if you're a dude listening and you applied in the past, maybe you booked a call and then flaked on it, which is very rare because most guys are in their masculine energy by that point because I put them there. I'm an NLP coach. I know how to put guys in their masculine energy. One thing I do is make them reply within 24 hours. If you're ever questioning why I do that, that's why. To get you in your masculine energy, to turn you into a trigger puller, to make you not flake, because flakiness is femininity. So if you've done this to me in the past, I forgive you, bro. I'm masculine. Masculinity forgives and forgets. I'm over it. And I know that you were just lost for a few moments, but you can improve yourself, can't you? As I said, that's the whole point of life. So as of today, gentlemen, here's the code I want you to live by. This is Maximus's code. This is the code they speak about in the epic book, Gates of Fire. and this is my code that I strongly suggest you adhere to. Every word you say, by definition, is a promise. You will always do what you say you're going to do. You will always follow up when you say you will. You will show up to your appointments. You will be on time. You will be that masculine man that other people can count on. That is a huge quality of a masculine man. You can count on him. And that goes into the book Gates of Fire, the best book, in my opinion, ever written as far as fiction is concerned. An entire theme running through that book is about having integrity, having character, having honor, bro. Having more honor than a phalanx of Spartans, which is what I always tell people I have. Whenever people question me, like, are you going to show up? I'm like, bro, I have more honor than a phalanx of Spartans. Of course I'm going to show up. And that's to communicate that, dude, every word I say by definition is a promise. Guys, I have been doing 2 podcasts a week, sometimes 3. A couple of years ago, I was doing 3 a week for years because I made a commitment to you. I will do 2 podcasts a week, come hell or high water. I don't care if I'm fucking sick, if I'm dead. I'll do a freaking podcast from the afterlife, bro. I will reincarnate and I'll be like a baby and I'll be doing a podcast for you. That's how committed I am. Why? Because I have honor. Look at what Maximus said, strength and honor. Honor is doing what you say. Strength is doing it when you don't want to. Just as if you say, yeah, dude, I'm going to work out 5 times a week. If you don't want to, you still have to do it. Why? Because you said you would. Every word you say by definition has to be a promise. When you behave this way, gentlemen, even just taking a few of the things that I say today, your masculinity is going to increase, your testosterone is going to increase, and women pick up on that. If, on the other hand, you continue letting yourself procrastinate, flake, be not sure, be like ho-hum on the fence, who's ho-humming on the fence? Females. This is why they don't text you back. This is why they give you cold, hot signals. This is why you can't freaking read them. It's because they don't know what they want. They're feminine, which is okay. There's many good things about femininity. Don't get me wrong. But femininity in a man where he's flaky, he procrastinates, and he ho-hums things, and he's not a trigger puller, extremely unattractive. So if that's you, brother, take that hard look in the mirror and say, you know what, dude? I could probably be more integral. I could probably do what I say more. I could probably show up when I say I will, not flake on people, be on time. Bro, being late, in my opinion, is almost as bad as flaking completely. It's so disrespectful. So it's time to step up, brothers, to be that alpha silverback that I know you want to be, and that starts in your behavior. What do I say all the time? Women are attracted to a man's behavior, how he handles himself, how he lives his life. Look at Maximus. Yeah, I know he was a fictional character, but I guarantee you there have been dudes through history that have that level of honor, and I'm trying to reach that level. You know one guy who I think has that level of honor? Jocko. If you've ever heard of the Jocko podcast, I believe that dude does every single thing he says he's going to do. I ordered a shirt once from him when he was already getting millions of listeners, and he wrote me a personalized note in the box. One time I commented on his YouTube channel and he actually said it on the podcast. It was so sick. Sometimes I try to do that too for you guys, but that dude has so much honor because he's a warrior. And that's what it says in the Gates of Fire. It says, you think we're training for war? What we're training for is to fight the enemies within our own heads. What's the enemy within your head, brother? Femininity, procrastination, flakiness, laziness, sloth, gluttony, lying, the 7 deadly sins. Have you ever heard those before? Sin in its original Greek translation means to miss the mark, such as an archer shooting an arrow at a target and missing the mark. That's a sin. They actually still use that today in archery. Sin, you didn't hit the mark. When you don't hit the mark, girls don't get attracted to you. You don't make money. People don't trust you. You have a bad reputation. Hit the mark, boys. From this point forward, every word you say, by definition, is a promise. I want you to live by that code and just watch how your life changes. Next, guys, stop procrastinating. I know I mentioned this a little bit previously, but procrastination is the worst. It's putting things down the road. Why? Because you're afraid of pain, the pain of doing the thing. What I always say is, how good would it feel when I get it done? And what I always say is, eat the toad as soon as possible. Let's just get it over with. As my girl Marissa always says, she's like, let's just get it over with. Okay, Lucia has this issue right now. Let's just go to the doctor and get it over with. Let's not procrastinate, push it down the road. Let's just see what's going on. And when you do that, you're in your masculine power. Why? Masculinity executes. Masculinity gets done. It likes to-do lists and challenges and to mark them off and be like, that's done, this is done, that's done, this is done. At the end of the day, it pats itself on the shoulder and says, bro, you are a warrior. You were like Maximus today, strength and honor. The next thing that a highly masculine man does is he gives. He gives help to people, as I was just talking about. He gives to charities. He gives assistance. He gives in a way where he doesn't even look to be thanked. He gives underneath the table, such as cleaning up something from the forest, which I'm going to talk about in a second as well, when you're out hiking, to give back to whoever, to even give back to the dude who threw the trash down, to give your time to charities, such as going to a soup kitchen and serving soup to people who are seemingly less than you are. But the high value man is a guy who gives selflessly of himself. Why? The poem I said in the beginning of this episode was from the Tao Te Ching. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? And you look at that and you say, wait, so a bad man is a good man's job? And I'm here to tell you, yes. Your job, once you evolve to a certain level of consciousness, is to be bigger than those people who are simply selfish, takers, and living in the ego. Why? As I've spoken about many times in this podcast, we are on an evolution. Not only the evolution of our body, the evolution of our intelligence, but also spiritually. We are evolving to a place of higher vibration. Higher vibrational frequencies understand that lower vibrational frequencies are lost. Like it says in the Bible, they know not what they do. And this is what it means in the Tao Te Ching. A bad man is a good man's job, and a good man is a bad man's teacher, because we have to lift those people up to become evolved just like you are. Masculinity is about protecting, masculinity is about giving, and masculinity is about teaching others to become masculine just like you are. So what is a good man but a bad man's teacher? You have to teach those people to become higher vibrating, because I'll tell you this, all of us know a taker. Whether it's a man or a woman, your sister, your cousin, your mom, whoever it is, we all know somebody who's low vibrating and just takes from others, is selfish, is a liar, stabs other people in the back. I know every single one of you are nodding fervently right now because you know somebody like this. Let me ask you this question. How much is that person suffering? Pretty crazy, right? A lot. The more you create suffering for others, the more it indicates that you are suffering yourself. Do you want people to suffer? I don't know where you're at in your consciousness, but I don't. I want to help people out. I want to bring them up to a place where their vibration is high enough where they don't cause suffering both to themselves and to others. The masculine man is the teacher of the feminine man. The man who throws shit at other people, who gets angry easily. Going back to my previous podcast about AMOGs and how to control somebody who's trying to out-alpha you. What does that indicate? You're masculine. You're calm. You're on your inner balance point. And you're taking this guy in and you're being like, hey, little buddy, I can tell you're suffering because you're coming at me with this energy. So I'm going to be cool to you in the beginning. I'm going to try to coach you up. And then if you throw more shit at me, you're getting fucking housed. And that's another quote from the Bible I really like. The meek will inherit the earth. The original translation of meek was those who have swords and know how to use them, but they keep them in the scabbard until somebody messes with them. Now, guys, I'm not Christian. I'm not Taoist. I'm not Buddhist. I like to take the wisdom from all those religions as well as all spirituality and put them together into podcasts like this one because they all basically say the same thing. When you translate them correctly, they all say the same thing. Be bigger than the guy who's vibrating at a low level. Be masculine in the way that you protect, you provide, you preside. Be the sheepdog, the peaceful warrior who is going to be cool to you, but who's not to be fucked with. And when somebody is vibrating at a low level, bring them up rather than trying to bring them down. I was actually in the forest today before I came and did this podcast. It's technically my day off, but I got so inspired I had to record this. And I was out hiking and I ran into a forest ranger. And I was talking to him about how I always like to take one piece of trash out whenever I'm hiking in the backwoods and I find a beer can or a bag of chips. I pack it out. Why? Because I'm a good man and I'm a bad man's teacher. I'm going to lift that guy up by taking the burden of his negligence. And he told me, he's like, dude, 80% of people are like you. They're cool, they're responsible, they're good people. But the other 20% of the people mess it up for everybody else. They're the bad eggs, the bad apples, as it were, that screw everything up for everybody else. They're the guys who go into the forest and leave beer cans everywhere, shoot their guns haphazardly, possibly putting other people at risk. They're the people who start forest fires. These are bad people temporarily because they're going to evolve out of it potentially, but it's always the bad ones that mess it up for us. But as Obama said, when they go low, you go high. It's our job, because they know not what they do, to bring them up. And even if it means cleaning up after them, that's what we do as masculine men. And if you can get not emotional by it, because I know a lot of you guys, when I said that, clean up after the bad people, you got butthurt. That shows where you're at in your evolution. Those who are highly evolved take the responsibility of those who are not, because they have so much love, they have so much grace, they have so much happiness, they can spare some for the people who are suffering. So that, gentlemen, is my rant about masculinity. Masculinity is Maximus. Look at all the sacrifices he made. Look at all the discipline he had. Look at the integrity he had, which again comes from that word integral. Look at the honor and strength that legend brought into that movie. I believe that level is achievable. And when you achieve it, at least striving to achieve it on a day-to-day basis, women's attraction for you will go up. Your monetary value will go up. Your friends will trust you more. You'll trust yourself more. And what is a man who does what he says he's going to do? He's confident. Because if you can't even rely on your own word, what does that affect inside of you? Your confidence, your self-esteem. You become more feminine, you procrastinate, you put things off, you lie to people, you gossip, and it's just a slippery slope downward. So the way to get up to that highest level is be down to the penny honest. Every word you say by definition is a promise. Have integrity, honor, and brother. People need to count on you with absolutely zero doubt in their mind that you will pull through for them. If you could do that, just watch what happens to your life. This is the masculinity power boost. This is the way to get to that next level that I know you want to get to. And yeah, if you had to look in the mirror today and some of the things you saw you didn't like, then make the change, brother. That's the whole point of being here. So don't insult yourself. Don't feel bad about it. Just say, yeah, that was the old me. The new me has more honor than a phalanx of Spartans. I am Maximus out there on the battlefield saying to my brother, strength and honor. If you find yourself alone, riding in green fields with the sun on your face, do not be troubled, for you are in Elysium and you're already dead. And the whole place laughs. Fucking gangster, dude. Strength and honor, gentlemen. So today, Ford, when they go low, you go high. That's the way I'm going to live, and I hope you join me, fighting shoulder to shoulder with me in the trenches on this journey. Gentlemen, I do appreciate you listening. I drop podcasts on Mondays and Thursdays, so please stay tuned for the next one, and I will see you in the next episode.